Karen's voice sliced through the humid evening air like a chainsaw through butter, shrill and unapologetic. That eyesore of a motorcycle is a blight on our community, and I'm the one cleaning up this mess, she declared, jabbing a manicured finger at the sleek black bike now chained to the back of a tow truck. Her floral muumuu fluttered as she puffed out her chest, her double chin quivering with self-righteous fury. The small crowd gathered on the cracked sidewalk of Willow Creek Lane. Two neighbors, a delivery guy, and Mewitched in stunned silence. Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, had finally crossed a line, and I, Judge Marcus Reed, was about to make her regret it. It all started 3 months ago when I moved into this quiet suburban neighborhood, seeking a break from the chaos of the city courthouse. My motorcycle, a vintage Triumph I'd restored with my late father, was my pride and joy. I parked it neatly in my driveway, always within the lines, never blocking anyone. But Karen, the HOA president with a vendetta against anything that didn't scream cookie-cutter perfection, took one look at my bike and decided it was her personal mission to have it removed. "It's lowering property values," she'd screech at every HOA meeting, her eyes narrowing at me like I was some delinquent teenager instead of a 45-year-old circuit court judge. Her campaign began with passive-aggressive notes taped to my mailbox. "Please remove your vehicle to maintain our community's aesthetic." I ignored them, assuming she'd tire out. But Karen wasn't the type to let things go. She escalated to daily emails, each one more condescending than the last, accusing me of violating vague HOA bylaws I'd never seen. I responded politely, citing the lack of any specific rule against motorcycles, but Karen didn't want logic, she wanted control. Last week, she'd cornered me at the grocery store, her cart overflowing with diet soda and frozen pizzas, and hissed, "You think you're above the rules, don't you? I'll have that junk heap towed if it's the last thing I do." And now here we were. The tow truck's yellow lights flashed ominously as Karen stood triumphant, her lips curled into a smirk that screamed, "I win." The driver, a lanky guy named Tony who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, shuffled nervously beside her. "Ma'am, you sure this is authorized?" he muttered, glancing at the paperwork she'd thrust into his hands. Karen waved him off. "I'm the HOA president. I am the authority here." I stepped forward, my boots crunching on the gravel, and cleared my throat. "Karen, you might want to double-check who owns that bike before you make a bigger fool of yourself." Her head snapped toward me, her eyes narrowing into slits. "Don't you dare lecture me, Mr. Fancy Lawyer," she spat, assuming like most people in the neighborhood that I was just some attorney with a loud hobby. She didn't know I spent my days presiding over cases far messier than her petty power trips. The crowd murmured. Mrs. Delaney, the elderly widow from across the street, clutched her sweater and whispered to the delivery guy, "She's gone too far this time." The delivery guy nodded, his phone already out, recording the scene. Karen didn't notice. She was too busy reveling in her victory, oblivious to the storm brewing. "Karen," I said, my voice calm but edged with steel, "that motorcycle is registered to me, and it's parked legally on my property. You have no legal grounds to tow it." Her smirk faltered for a split second, but she doubled down. "I don't care who you are. The HOA bylaws give me the right to enforce community standards, and that bike is a violation." She turned to Tony, snapping, "Get it out of here. Now." Tony hesitated, glancing at me. I pulled out my phone and dialed the local police non-emergency line. "This is Judge Marcus Reed," I said, loud enough for Karen to hear. Her head whipped around, her face paling slightly. "I'd like to report an unauthorized tow on my property at 142 Willow Creek Lane. The individual responsible is standing here, claiming HOA authority she doesn't have." Karen's jaw dropped, but she recovered quickly, her voice rising to a near shriek. "Judge? You're no judge. You're just some wannabe trying to intimidate me." The crowd gasped. Mrs. Delaney shook her head, muttering, "Oh, Karen, you've done it now." The delivery guy's phone was still rolling, capturing every second of her meltdown. Within 10 minutes, 2 police officers arrived, their cruiser pulling up with a soft squeal of tires. Officer Ramirez, a no-nonsense woman I'd seen in my courtroom before, stepped out first, her partner, Officer Chun, following close behind. "What's going on here?" Ramirez asked, her eyes scanning the scene. Karen launched into a tirade, waving her arms and pointing at my bike like it was a public menace. "This man is defying HOA rules, and I'm taking action to protect our neighborhood." I handed Ramirez my ID and a copy of the HOA bylaws, which I'd studied thoroughly after Karen's first note. "Officer, there's no rule against parking a motorcycle in my driveway. Ms. Karen here ordered an illegal tow without my consent or any legal basis." Ramirez skimmed the documents, her expression hardening as she turned to Karen. "Ma'am, did you verify the property owner's rights before ordering this tow?" Karen sputtered, her face turning a shade of red that matched her garish lipstick. "I don't need to verify anything. I'm the HOA president." Chun raised an eyebrow, jotting notes in his pad. "Ma'am, that's not how the law works," he said. "If this vehicle is on private property and complies with local ordinances, you can't just tow it because you don't like it." The crowd was now openly whispering, their sympathy clearly with me. Karen, sensing the shift, doubled down, her voice dripping with venom. "You're all against me. This is my neighborhood, and I'll do what's necessary." That's when I decided to end it. I looked at Ramirez and said, "Officer, I'd like to press charges for attempted theft and trespassing. And as a circuit court judge, I'll be filing a contempt motion against Ms. Karen for abusing her position and disregarding the law." The word judge hit Karen like a freight train. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again, like a fish gasping for air. You're lying," she stammered, but the confidence was gone. Ramirez's eyes widened slightly. She knew me from court, but she kept her professional demeanor. "Sir, we'll take your statement and proceed accordingly." "Ma'am," she said, turning to Karen, "you'll need to come with us to answer some questions." As the officers escorted a protesting Karen to their cruiser, the tow truck driver unchained my bike, mumbling apologies. The crowd dispersed, Mrs. Delaney giving me a thumbs up before shuffling back to her house. The delivery guy posted his video online, and by morning, it had gone viral on the neighborhood's social media group, with comments like, "Karen finally got what she deserved," and "Judge Reed for HOA president." In court the following week, I filed the contempt motion, detailing Karen's abuse of power and her attempt to illegally seize my property. The evidence was overwhelming. The video, the officers' reports, and the lack of any HOA rule justifying her actions. Karen showed up to the hearing in an ill-fitting blazer, her usual bravado replaced by a nervous fidgeting. She tried to argue that she was protecting the community, but the judge and me colleague, Judge Larson, wasn't having it. "Miss Karen," he said, his voice like gravel, "your actions were not only unlawful but a gross overreach of authority. You've wasted this court's time and harassed a resident for no reason other than personal dislike." Karen was fined, ordered to pay my legal fees, and removed from her HOA position by a unanimous vote at the next meeting. The neighborhood celebrated with a block party, where my triumph took pride of place, polished to a mirror shine. As I sipped a beer and chatted with Mrs. Delaney, I couldn't help but smile. Karen had thought she was untouchable, but she'd picked the wrong fight and the wrong bike. Sometimes, justice rides on two wheels. The end.